Hello, everybody. Hey, welcome back to the channel. So, this is going to be a wrap up video on 007 Road to a Million. Um, and yeah, so we're going to go from episode 4 through the end of episode 8. I decided not to go like episode by episode kind of a thing. I think I can wrap this up. So in episode 4, we leave off with where it had like that best question setting yet. I don't want to spoil it if anybody hasn't seen that and wants to, but in fact, I think out of all the episodes, episode 3, if you're going to watch any episode, I think episode 3 was the best one, to be honest. But we have a good opener. And here we are, episode 4. We still haven't met half the team yet, half of the teams. I'm starting to notice that the married couple is getting extra help and instructions, and it seems like they're kind of clueless for a lot of things. In part of the leg, Aston Martin is actually involved, but it's by name only. It's a name drop. And in fact, episode 4 was quite kind of boring, to be honest. That's all I got to say about episode 4. Episode 5, we have 2 teams eliminated right off the bat. Bam, gone. In fact, one of the teams, they're eliminated on the level 1 question. They don't know what a stalactite is. They're in a cave, and a question must have been like stalagmite, stalactite. They didn't know what it was. That team's gone. Level 1 question. But so those 2 teams are eliminated, and they were new introduced teams eliminated. And we have the final team introduced. So now, actually, by episode 5, all the teams are introduced. We go to Jamaica in episode 5. Hey, I loved Jamaica when I was there. It's a pretty location for that one. Blackwell rum is introduced. And in fact, they have to drink it and tell what the defining notes are. Now, the answer is so obvious. So on this one, is it like sage and something else? It may not have been sage. It was some kind of herb and something, or smoke and leather, and then I think the third option, that was the most obvious one. You knew what it was going to be. And in fact, that's the cliffhanger for episode 5. What are the flavor notes of the Blackwell rum? So, pretty location, drinking some rum, but not very thrilling. So again, end of episode 5, we go on to episode 6. So 6 must have had a lot, because I took a lot of notes. We start in Jamaica, where we left off. We find out what the rum notes are. Yes, it's what we knew was all along. A little bit of a fun reveal. That was okay, if they answered correctly or not. Now, in the reveal, they referred to Blackwell rum as the finest in all the world. Now, I do love this rum, but is it though? If so, I got a heck of a deal on it, because if I bought the finest rum in the world for how much I paid, man, what a bargain. It is good rum. I love it. Finest in the world? I don't know. Okay, then off to Chile. We go to Chile. Now, again, at this point, we have mostly had Daniel Craig Bond music, except for the Moonraker music in episode 3. And they're using these locators, like these little beep 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 kind of locators, to find these signals, or to track signals down to the case. And it's like a voiceover signal sound, and it's different than the real one. In episode 6, you actually hear the real signal, and once you hear that real signal, it actually makes more sense as to how they can follow it, because it sounds more authentic. And I'm thinking at this point, hey, how cool would it be if they used the Goldfinger signal and they put that signal finder in the dash, like in Goldfinger, and you hear that same beeping noise as was in Goldfinger. Anyway, then we go to Brazil with Danny and Colin. And now I think there's some fakery going on at this point. So I'm starting to get some suspicions about the show at this point. They go underwater to get a question case. When they pull it up out of the water, there's this massive amount of water is coming out from the case itself, like the seam of the case. Yet when they open up the case, it reveals the screen and the answer buttons. No water. No, it's not wet. There's no water damage inside. That was kind of weird. I think some editing issues happened there. But it doesn't matter because they're gone. They got eliminated. That's a spoiler. Sorry. Back to Jamaica. Different team. It's the married couple. Lots of Blackwell rum in the background. Again on these shots. I think this was definitely some product placement because when I was in Jamaica, that was not the rum that people had out and about. Now, I had to search for it, track it down. The rum that you see sitting around out in the open, it's a really cheap rum that everyone has around there locally. And they're given a clue. Hey, you have to find Crab Key. Okay, Crab Key. Now, come on, Dr. No. And yet, once again, there's no mention of it. There's like no clue. They have no clue that this is related to Bond. They make no mention of Bond. And then again, I'm starting to get suspicious because here's the married couple. I've been already thinking, hey, they're getting a lot of extra help. They find their way by boat at night, no signal finder. They find their way. Now, I'm sorry. There are thousands of coves and nooks and crannies along Jamaica, and they find it by night with no signal finder. They had help. They had to have help to find where they were going. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, and they act lost all the time. Like they really kind of don't know what they're doing. All right. Then they find their way to this alligator farm at night. Okay, by boat. All right, yeah, I think we get the picture. And then I hear the most ridiculous line yet. Oh, he looks angry. He's looking at these alligators. Oh, he looks angry. Camera pans over to where he's looking, and there's a sleeping alligator there. Yeah, he looked really upset as he's sleeping. I don't know. Anyway, then we dodge back to the father-son team. They activate a locator device. It's like the one that was in Goldfinger, the little one that he put in his shoe. So they activate one of those, and they have a long chat by a fire. Okay, now we go back to the alligator farm. Alligators, they're completely on the other side of this one yard, and there's a box down there in the middle, chained. But the alligators are all the way over there. They like away from everything. They spend like 5 minutes debating. Oh, how are we gonna get that box out of there? They could have jumped down there, go and grab the box, run back, and those alligators clear on the other side wouldn't have probably even seen them. All right. Can you tell that the show is actually starting to annoy me a little bit at this point? So episode 6, yeah, it started to hit me as fake, to be honest. And with the married couple, because they're getting all this extra help and they seem kind of clueless most of the time, and they just kind of wander around, and then all of a sudden it's just kind of like, oh, there we go. It's like they get stuff out of nowhere. They're just walking through this game way too much and getting all this help. But to my disappointment, they get to continue. And this is the first time I'm actually kind of rooting against a team. Anyway, at one point now they're told, "Hey, we got to go to Ocho Rios, Jamaica," and I'm like, "Okay, cool." Get to go back and see a place that I had just visited. So, okay, I was looking forward to that a little bit. See that on film. Then back to the father son in Chile. They've been picked up. They're brought to this deserted town. It looks like there's going to be an eating challenge, but instead they get to drink some Bollinger while eating some burgers. And there's a cliffhanger on their question at this point. And then that's where it ends off. And we go to episode 7. Now, episode 7, it starts in Chile with the abandoned town father son team. Did they answer correctly? Do I spoil it? Do I? All right. I mean, we're getting close to the end. All I could say is they drink the Bollinger anyway. So there you go. Now, okay, yep. So they do get eliminated. We only have 3 teams left at this point. All right, so we've got the married couple left. We got the Bone Brothers. We have the nurses, who have not been seen in forever, to be honest. And now all of a sudden, here they are. Episode 7, near the end. Nurses have still been going just fine, but we haven't been following them that much. The nurses now must find a sunken boat, and apparently they seem to be scuba diving experts because they get down there and very easily, take care of business. So yeah, of course they're scuba divers too. Then we go back to Jamaica. We're with the Bone Brothers, San Monique. Now, this is where it starts feeling like everyone is getting pulled in collectively. You never see them together in the same shot, any of the players, through the entire thing. Never. However, they all appear to be in San Monique at this point. They're dressing up in tuxedos. We're seeing some of the guys using electric shavers like Pierce Brosnan used, and Omega watches. They're putting those on. And I'm gonna be honest right now. The Bone Brothers, they have had the best adventure so far. They've gotten to do the best stunts. They've gotten to the best locations. They've had the best trip. But now it's time for some backyard casino and poker. So martinis, they're being poured. This one guy's got an iguana on his shoulder, like in License to Kill. So so a lot of shout outs going on. All 3 teams, they're playing poker, or they're looks like they're going to play poker, all dressed up and everything. But they're in separate parts of the property. Being told that, hey, their croupier is going to be showing up soon. And I got to tell you, the croupier for the Bone Brothers, he sure looks like the one that was in Casino Royale during the big game, the dealer. So different questions per team at this point. 7 minutes go by, maybe even more, of each team debating the answers to their questions. And guess what? They all get it correct. All 3 teams are moving on to the final episode, number 8. And it looks like they're all going to Switzerland. They all go to the Swiss Alps. Episode 8, we get to the final episode. Switzerland. Married couple gets dropped off in the mountains. They're given coordinates to follow, and they follow this marked trail along a peak. The nurses, they dropped off in the mountains. They have a trail that's headed to some other coordinates. It kind of looked like Mr. White's hideout, where Bond eventually catches up to Mr. White. They have to hit charges that are on the door of a barn with this laser rifle within 3 minutes, and then to get the door to explode and let them in. They did it literally with 1 second to spare. All to get a key that, and then they just walk to a barn that has an Aston Martin, the DB5. And this is the big shot everybody's talking about. Hey, they get to drive the car. They say, oh, what a beautiful car. What a gorgeous car, huh? No mention of this being James Bond's car. Episode 8, no mention of James Bond yet. I just couldn't believe it. They even push all the buttons. They activate all the gadgets, all the toys. They shoot the oil slick. They raise the bullet shield. They do everything. Not a single mention of James Bond. Finally, something I was thinking earlier, they activate in the DB5 the Goldfinger tracking device. And as they do this, they're like, oh, that's where we need to go. So now they actually do get to track it with Goldfinger's tracking device, and it's making the proper beep. And as they drive off, you hear On Her Majesty's Secret Service theme song begins to play. The do 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 do, and then as they're playing this, the brothers are flying into the episode for their part of the trip. Helicopter into the Swiss Alps again. They have to do a shooting comp themselves that they find out. Then the nurses, they're driving the car again. So we're going back and forth between the three last teams. They take a train through a mountain, and then they have to get off the train midway, and they have this climbing gear waiting for them, which they get their next leg step to continue. And the husband and wife, they also have a shooting comp that they have to do. So everybody had to do a shooting comp to get the next clue. The nurses did it with 1 second to spare. All I'm going to say is the nurses were the only ones that continued. And as all the losing teams or actually, no, at this point, we haven't gotten to that yet. Sorry. So as the couple, I think it was the husband and wife, as they were lamenting their loss and not completing the shooting competition, the voice he plays, "We Have All the Time in the World," playing in the back of the in the background. So yeah, it's the nurses only that's left. The brothers, they drink. They were had to shoot Bollinger bottles, and so they just open up a bottle of Bollinger and enjoy it, while even though they lost as well. At one point with the nurses, they were going through this one tunnel, and the classical music from The Spy Who Loves Me. I think it's the music that where when he shoots his assistant down into the shark pool, and says, "You are the one that betrayed me." It's that same music that's playing. Well, they go up this lift up to the top of the mountain. They get into this office, and they see pictures of all the eliminated teams in there. And the voice is talking to them about what's been going on. And he sounds just like Blofeld when he's talking to the women in the allergy center. "I will tell you when. I will tell you how." Just it's that same voice that's going on. And then this time, for the 500,000 pound question, every question to this point has been multiple choice, 3 answers. So you got a 1 in 3 shot. 500,000 pound question, 5. There's 5 questions. So now you've a 1 in 5 shot. And I was surprised because they get it wrong. So it now becomes evident there is no clear winner, that there is not a winner of 1 million. But they do get to keep the money that they've racked up along the way. So each question was worth a certain amount of money. If they got it right, they continued. They keep that money. So no team won. No team actually won. I mean, literally every team won, but they only won what money they that they had earned by answering questions right. And as the final teams are getting their payment, their bags full of cash, they're getting their final payment. You hear as the show's winding up, the haunting Bond's death music of No Time to Die. Just the hum, the thing. Yeah, he's and they pay the teams what they've earned. So that's the setup for season 2. The voice is like, can anyone go the distance all the way to win the million? And so we know season 2 is actually already underway. So I have a final question. I've got a final question. Do the season 2 players know that this is a Bond themed show? The season 1 contestants made no mention of it. It was not Bond until they got to the editing room and made it Bond. I mean, how did the contestants not recognize that this was Bond? I just don't understand that. They should have been geeking out about this stuff all over the place. I think that would have sucked in Bond fans. They just really missed a mark on this. Do the season 2 players know that it's a Bond themed show now that this is aired, or have they already been playing? So we're watching this, but they're already playing the game, not knowing that this has even been released and marketed as Bond. Now we're going to have a season 2 the exact same way this one went. And I got to be honest, would I ever go back and watch this show again? No, probably not. It's definitely a one-time view, if that, because it wasn't Bond. It was disappointing that it's only Bond for the viewer, because they played some Bond music and went to Bond locations and had a few shout outs and some product placement. The contestants make no mention of it whatsoever. So that's it. That is the show. It's almost as if I wonder if I should title this, "Hey, I watched 007 Road to a Million so that you didn't have to." Yeah, I've seen videos like that. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to title this yet, but I wanted to get it out there because I mean, viewership of shows like this happens pretty fast, because I think I binge watched it, so I'm sure there's others that have too. So tell me what you think if you've watched it. If you're a few episodes into it, what are you thinking? Because I started to get disappointed episode 2, and it was tanking fast. By the time I got to, I think, what did I say, episode 5, 6, it was starting to already annoy me. And I got to admit, I started fast forwarding through some of it, because it was just I was losing patience with it, because it didn't they'd never even uttered, like, as if it was license protected to say James Bond or 007. Like, they just weren't even allowed to say it. That's how that played out. Okay. Well, that's it for this type of review, and we'll see you in the next video. Maybe a little bit more ASMR related. All right.